Alex Yee has spent the first months of 2025 preparing to tick off a huge personal milestone, and on 27th of April finally raced his first marathon at home in London in an incredible time of 2:11:08. We caught up with Alex 3 days later in his parents' backyard in Brockley, South London, to pick through the pieces of the project and get a sense of the journey from concept to finish line and on to where his still very sore legs may be taking him to next. So yeah, here we are in Yee HQ of sorts with our...
It's looking nice. Just as long as people don't go inside, they can imagine this is what our whole house is like.
Brockley, yeah, the part of the Yee DNA with our world champion, our Olympic champion, and now marathon man. Congratulations on an amazing race.
Thanks very much. Cheers. The legs still aren't working at the moment, but it was, honestly an incredible experience. I mean, the start line's only about 3k away from here, so it's all been a bit of a whirlwind since then. 14th
place, that is, I mean, times are one thing, 14th place, 9 places off the Olympic champion. That, I mean, it's nuts when you think about it like that, no?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely cool. Marathon's funny because I guess I never went into it with an outcome goal of where I'd place. And in a way it was quite nice standing on the start line without that trepidation, something a little bit different. Purely internally focused, and that in a way was quite refreshing. So yeah, that was quite cool. To come away with 14th was definitely something which I guess I didn't think about, but now when you put it in that kind of context is pretty surreal.
Yeah. No clear goals, but like that excitement, that start line excitement must have been. Did you leave from here, from your parents' house?
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. No. We all had to stay in the race HQ hotel, mm-hmm. and then travel down together. I think for safety reasons.
They wanted to keep an eye on you.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. But yeah, it was probably the most emotional I've ever been on the start line. Definitely been more nervous, but to share the start line with 56,500 people, a world record for the most marathon finishes ever, who all have an individual story, that have all, come together and all come together on this one day at Blackheath Common in South London to achieve something and to do a personal goal, but also to do stuff for others as well. I think it's quite an emotional moment, and definitely hits home when you're on that start line. You feel that you're part of something bigger, even as you're driving in and you see all the people kind of milling about, the massive queues for the Portaloos, all that kind of stuff. You're like, this really is such a big event, and I got a feel for it growing up and watching it on the sidelines and stuff like that, but I really understand it now, having raced it and kind of been in that build-up, kind of being in that tent before it and feeling all the anticipation, excitement, but yeah, what it meant to everyone as well. So I think it was, pretty surreal.
Hardest thing you've ever done? I mean, I know you went in there with full respect, but on reflection, was it way harder than you've even...
It was really hard, in a very different way to triathlon. Heart and lungs wise, I felt like I could keep pushing, but my mind was telling me yes, my legs were telling me no. So it was one of those funny moments where I was having this kind of decoupling between my legs and my physiology, and trying to play that balance of like wanting to push on, but then also my legs wanting to give way every step. So yeah, it was really challenging to be in that place with about 8 to 10k to go, of stepping into that unknown and into your discomfort zone. But I really feel like I've grown from that experience and learned from it, and definitely have a lot more respect for marathon and that understanding. So it was a pretty surreal experience.
I mean, would we even be here having this conversation if you hadn't won the Olympics last year? Was it a direct consequence of having this nice window? Is part of winning an Olympics the fact that it gives you a massive tick on a lifetime goal and a little breathing space around it?
No, actually, I think for me the big goal was to have purpose after Olympics and World Championships last year. I think it's incredibly easy to kind of come out in that following year and maybe just rinse and repeat what's kind of happened before. And for me, I've definitely found that doing that doesn't make me a better athlete. I know for some people consistency is incredibly key, and I think it is to an extent, but for me, I like to stay curious. I like to delve into places which I haven't been able to before, and I think for me that was the excitement of this year, is that I can work on myself and get better, and for the first time I can do that on my run, because 5 years of the last 5 years have been incredibly hard work towards getting to a point where I could get off the bike with the best guys in the world in triathlon and be competitive. So now I have an opportunity to work on my run, and I was like, wow, there's only one road to work towards, I feel like, in that opportunity. And yeah, Coach Adam was like, let's do it, and yeah, here we are.
Yeah. So that first conversation was when and with who, when it was, something that is obviously been in your mind for years and years, but that, right, this is now probably it. Do you remember like how far back it was and with who?
It was probably early 24, to be honest. So it was one of those conversations we were having about kind of having that something to work towards after this year and what that means. And I've asked for years if London Marathon would ever fit, or running a marathon would ever fit with things, and often the answer's been no, because of the work towards swim and bike. And for the first time the answer was yes, there is room to do other stuff. And obviously the first place that sprung to mind was racing in London, so that's how it kind of came about, and led us to here.
So I was thinking, in some ways, a break, not coming straight back for like an Abu Dhabi or whatever the next season, it sort of diffuses a little bit the expectation of going into a season as an Olympic and world champ. But who are we kidding? Like, it's just going to absolutely laser focus an entire new genre of race of people interested in triathlon into that first race back.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, there was part of me that wanted to, it would be cool to have a bike which was just gold and had a little bit of rainbow stripes and that kind of stuff, and that was definitely something which I was like, it'd be quite cool to be, just to kind of jump in straight away. But I think at the same time, I want to just keep being curious and keep getting better. And when I crossed that finish line in Paris, I was incredibly proud of everything that had happened, but I also know that there was a lot of stuff that I could work on. And I think to take that small step away from the sport allows you to look at things from a broader spectrum and actually step back in to quite an intense bubble and be able to work quite hard and specifically at those things. And this small step back over this past block has allowed me to I feel like, do that and see different things where it might not be within training, it might not be within racing, but actually just within my lifestyle, of things which actually can be altered and can be optimized, which actually will allow me to come back in and train better and hopefully put me in a better place. We'll have to see how that actually applies in the next few months and years, but definitely have been quite self-reflective over the last kind of 6 months as a result of it.
Future-proofing that LA 2028 bid with some absolutely bionic, wasp-attracting new legs.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we always say it's the impossible balance, isn't it? Triathlon of having big shoulders, having strong legs, but also being able to run incredibly fast. And still finding that right balance for me of what's perfect, and still chasing that perfect race. So I think it's the excitement of the balance, and to take that step back has allowed me to kind of look at it from a different perspective, and hopefully come back and be able to apply that.
So come on, at the end of April, how many more K have you recovered this year so far compared to a normal year?
Good question. I'm not too sure. Probably been about 600K a month for the last 3 months. So
no way.
I mean, it's quite a lot. 90% of it's on Strava, to be honest. So but it's
some filthy sessions in there.
Yeah, it's been hard and different. And there's been some hard sessions. Definitely the volume is not as high as most marathon runners, because I kept a bit of triathlon identity in there. There's still the swim and the bike kind of 3-4 swims a week, 8 hours on the bike, 8-9 hours. So little bits there, enough to tick over, and also, you know, stay true to myself and what I feel like is the best way for me to train. But yeah, the sessions themselves were probably very similar to what most marathon runners would do. Your kind of 30k at pace, or 4x6k, 24k under over, that kind of stuff. So that stuff has been definitely different. I mean, the longest session I would do within a triathlon block would probably be 6x2k. So to go from doing 12k worth of volume to 30k worth of volume of intensity is different, but it's been good, and it's been a fact-finding mission the whole time. You never know how your body's going to respond to it, whether you're going to come off it in a great place, whether you're going to come off it in a not so good place. And I think we found both, and to tease it close to that line is where you do that kind of big learning and big growth. So I think it's been great to do that, get some things wrong, get some things right, and I've definitely encouraged that throughout this block, because otherwise there's no point in having this smooth sailing block and getting to this point and saying, what have we learned? Because there would be no point in the whole block as a whole.
Would you, like, on reflection, ideally have just had a little bit longer to go at it? Did it, or yeah?
I feel like you could have
I
could have had another year. Could have had 3 more marathons before me, whatever it may be. I feel like you always desire an extra week as an elite athlete. You want to keep pushing the envelope, and you always feel like, I think for a lot of us, we train hard, but we feel like we could do more all the time. And I think that's what makes you're a good athlete, is you're wanting to get better. You're wanting to be improving, and there's definitely things throughout this block which haven't gone to plan, and you want to then chunk time on the end to make that right and rectify it. But also at some point it was great for me to just be able to face the music and just go and see what could happen. It was similar with Valencia. I'd had kind of the 10 days before it, I'd been quite unwell and wasn't sure how I'd actually respond going into the race, but sometimes you have to just put yourself out there, and that's where you do your learning. And yeah, probably a really good trainer stimulus as well from racing that hard.
But like you say, as an athlete, always wanting to push the envelope a bit, but in, I suppose, particularly Olympic build-up, for example, and then potentially something like this as well, it is a very fine line. A lot of athletes, half the reason people often feel like they underperform at the Olympics, it seems like, is because on reflection they probably go, yeah, Jesus, we just pushed that a bit too hard, didn't we? And then you kind of go and cook.
Yeah, it's true. It's a fine line, which you have to trust in the people around you, trust what you're doing, and I think not prove anything to yourself within training, and that comes from the trust that you have within yourself, that you can, find maybe something extra within racing, or just trusting yourself that you are the person you are, and that's okay, and that's fine, because often it can be in that uncomfortable zone of like wanting to be the best version of yourself all the time and every day, and it's okay not to be every day. You're not always going to be at 100%, and that's why race days are so special, is because you can get that extra bit out of your body, and to embrace those kind of moments where maybe things aren't going right and aren't quite going to plan. That's when I feel like if you frame it right and you think about it, you can learn the most about yourself, and often it's the point where maybe the line is crossed of just trying to push that extra little bit to achieve something. So I think listening to your body and trusting it as well is important to that.
These are the things that make you wiser as an athlete, right? Like a successful Olympics or an Olympics at large, like setting a target like this, it's like, we were lucky enough to speak to Cassandra. We've got back-to-back Olympic champs on the podcast for this one, and like for her, like the journey as a person, as an individual, was almost as important as that as an athlete. And I just wonder if through this, there's obviously physiological changes, but there must be some outlook changes as well on how you're approaching sport and life and what you do.
So throughout the Paris block or throughout this
I guess
Olympic,
particularly
London?
through the marathon. In that, I was sort of presuming that you went to some slightly more different, interesting places compared to mentally.
I would say mentally my approach is still very similar. I've always tried to be internal with everything I've done. You can't control what's around you, and that's something which I feel like I've come to peace with and I'm quite happy with, whether that's in a race, whether that's in your surroundings, and I try to focus inwardly on what I can do and kind of optimize that the best I can, but also kind of appreciate the level that I'm able to compete at and the gratitude for that. And I think that has stemmed from my crash in 2017 and has stayed as that one constant thing for me throughout. Is I potentially had the sport taken away from me 8 years ago now, and to be able to do it now at the level I'm able to do it and to have achieved the things I've done, I honestly feel so grateful to be able to just to move, if that makes sense, and to go out and train, and that enjoyment I think then translates to your racing, and when you have that level of enjoyment within racing and that expression, I think that's when you're able to extract the best out of yourself, because I think everyone's able to work hard and everyone's able to put in the hours, but it's the people that are having fun with it and enjoying that and embracing those things which are the ones which kind of have that little fine margin and kind of are able to make the difference when it really matters.
Because it is about whether you're spiritual or not. It is a spiritual thing as well as a physical thing, isn't it? And I think it was Detour 2 that your grandpa Albert appeared in, and that the line that he said about, I think he was saying didn't understand why more people weren't happy in life, and
it's perspective, isn't it? Everything is perspective. In 10 years' time, I'll long for the body that I have now, and to be able to do the things that I could do now. And you often look at a problem which is happening here and now, which might seem like a big thing. You haven't paid a bill, you've not done a training session for the day, and you zoom that out to a week's time and it seems like a smaller problem, and then you zoom it out to a year's time and you would have totally forgotten about this one problem. And that kind of perspective, if you can have that in the here and now, I think makes a massive difference to you being able to appreciate what's kind of going on around you, and just appreciate the little things which are happening, the little victories. And when you start to appreciate those things, that's when everything starts to compound and I feel like comes together.
And Albert now with his new fan club, presumably after that exposure.
He's got a lot of fans now, to be fair. I feel like everyone's enjoyed the YouTube series just to get to know him as much as me.
Dalai Lama move over, you got the new, So, all right, obviously I still want to talk a bit about the build-up and the sessions and so on, but just the finish there as well, and like the overriding sensation at crossing that line. We've seen some pretty special, a variety, I suppose, of race finishes from you over the years as well. But how was that as you crossed and sort of drank it all in?
It was a bizarre feeling, to be fair. I feel like I have a similar thing with a lot of finish lines where it feels like the race goes a lot quicker in that final 100 metres than it does everywhere else. I'm able to recall so many moments from throughout the race, whereas that finish line, it feels like it happened so fast, and that's probably a little bit because I'm at 100% at that point and I was just trying to get to the finish line. And I think I did that with my final step of energy that I had, because I lied down on the floor, and as soon as I went to try and get back up, it felt like everything in my body just shut down from my hips down. But I do remember turning onto birdcage walk and having that moment where I was very present and thought, I need to enjoy this because I'm working as hard as I can, but at the same time, this is an experience which I may never get again. I may never run a marathon, I may never run London. And I wanted to make sure I had that snapshot memory in my head of that moment of being able to run round that final, I guess, 2K at that point, and even though you're in a world of pain, enjoy what's going on around you and enjoy that moment. And definitely it was an emotional thing to kind of go on that journey throughout the race, but also just to be in that one place which had probably meant so much to me developing and growing up throughout the mini marathon, but also to finally come back and complete a bucket list thing for me, and something which I dreamed of doing and never imagined it would be within the elites, but to do that as well was pretty surreal.
Did it take all your self-control not to try and hammer it out at the start? I know obviously you had that quite specific group. Hugo was there, the metronome was doing his thing as well.
Yeah, it was incredible.
But you know, in the moment, if you're feeling good, you're like on the leash.
Definitely. And for me, I'd always been told south of the river is, you know, you've got to keep it calm, you've got to stay controlled. There's actually not that many crowds, is what everyone says. And as soon as we started that, it felt like the roads were lined for the whole way round, and particularly south of the river, there was a lot of people shouting for me, and to have those people shouting for me was definitely getting me excited and a little bit emotional. And it was all about kind of managing those emotions, but also appreciating what's going on around me as well. Of course, there's part of me that wants to just run as hard as I can, and I definitely felt amazing in those first few Ks just because of the moment, the pace, I guess, at the time. And
one of the best running feelings you've ever had, that first half.
It's just one of those. I've probably never had that moment where I've been able to have that kind of homecoming race where I've been able to race in my hometown at that level, and to have felt like it's been such a big part of my DNA and my growth and development, to then be able to race there, to express myself in that kind of way, was something which I didn't think was going to be possible throughout my triathlon career. So to be able to actually do that was pretty surreal. So maybe we could have a Hyde Park at some point again, or even closer to home. Let's get that. Let's make that happen. But yeah, I was just so immensely proud to be from London, and also just for them to be giving me that extra push when I needed it was made all the difference.
And in a way representing triathlon. I mean,
100%. I mean, Hugo and I feel like we had a little bit of, I guess, focus through the social media and World Triathlon and other social avenues, and I feel like particularly Hugo, I think, did an amazing job. He was an incredible pacer, but also just took it in his stride the whole time, and hopefully we've seen the graphic of the World Triathlon of all the different times over the different distances, 5k, 10k, and you just think, as an individual discipline athlete, that would be incredible times. So to be doing that as a multidiscipline athlete, I think shows how strong triathlon is and how hard it is as a discipline to be competitive in. Yeah.
Imagine Tola turning around and saying he wanted to do WTCS Carlo Vivari in 4 months' time.
We'd welcome him with open arms, I'm sure, yes, but how he would do would be another thing.
And kind of mad having all these people just chucking times around for you as well. I mean, guilty as well, certainly.
Of course, like I mean, it was to be expected
for sure.
Yeah, as a debut athlete, people will make predictions about kind of what's kind of going on, particularly as probably one of the first triathletes who's kind of still within their career, doing a marathon as well. It kind of came with the territory of what I was doing, and I didn't mind that, to be fair, as such. I think it's great that people are interested in it, curious about it, and I had a goal to go and run under 210, and I wasn't able to do that, but I feel like I learned so much more along the way from what I've done and through that block, that I actually sit here now extremely proud of that race, feeling like I know there's so much there that I could give to be better in a marathon, to get a lot more time back, but at the same time knowing what I do now allows me to then apply that to triathlon, rather than having a really smooth block and running 2:09 and actually coming back to triathlon and kind of being the same. So I think that's great, and to have it as such a good experience, because it was hot. Potentially that could have affected the time, but at the same time we would have had the crowds that came out and watched and all that kind of experience. So I think, it's a trade-off which I definitely would have taken.
Do you know who else finished 14th in their first marathon?
Did you? Oh, I was going to say, are you a secret marathon runner?
No.
Who?
Gwen Jorgensen.
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh wow. There you go.
Yeah.
What marathon was that?
I believe it was the New York.
There you go.
Pretty sure it was the New York, like sort of a few months after Rio.
There you go.
How much of the numbers analysis have you already done? Are you going back into, like, deliciously metronomic, and then did the numbers just kind of get a bit haphazard towards the end?
They were definitely haphazard towards the end. The race itself's on Strava, actually, if anyone wants to have a look. I'm sure we can link it or something.
Yeah,
like that.
I'll put that in the program notes for sure, if that's all right.
Very metronomic until about 32, well, probably about 34k, and then that last 8k there's definitely some bleeding of time towards the end, but that kind of came with that unknown of, I knew I was conditioned to run about an hour 45 through the training that I'd done, but also because we raced for about an hour 45. So once we kind of pushed past that at that kind of level of intensity, it started to become unknown, and it was tough, definitely. And I slowed down by probably 10 to 15 seconds per kilometre, which when you add it up for 8k actually adds up to a lot of time. That came with the block that we were doing, and like I say, that opportunity to learn from making that move and going with a slightly faster pace group and not being able to hang on to that actually has allowed me to learn a lot more than if I'd have just even split throughout the race.
Yeah.
I haven't heard many people have a good race though in London this year, so it's quite interesting.
The heat did creep up, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah.
It was a bit...
It was like 15, 16 degrees when we started.
Yeah.
So you kind of have that idea, okay, this is what it's just going to be like the whole time. And then by the end, it's like 22, 23 degrees.
Yeah.
So you're starting that second half already a little bit
beating
fatigued with the sun on you. So it all became a bit of a compounding effect. And you can see within my data that at about 34k, I have a bit of aerobic decoupling. So my heart rate starts to drift. My legs start to give up on me. And then also it's super hot. So it's like that whole kind of thing kind of happened at once, so it's interesting for me to look at that. And
I bet you love it, don't you?
Yeah, it's interesting just to like learn all these little bits. And there'll be an application at some point, hopefully, to some long course racing, but there'll also be application to Olympic distance racing as well, because the duration of time is so similar. There will be so many learnings that we can apply to this, and that's pretty exciting place to be in right now for me, definitely. Particularly in a year, where I feel like I could have easily maybe just tried to do the same thing, and it's great to learn and be different.
Yeah. And you and Adam, your coach, obviously embarked on this together. Was it a bit of a learning for him as well? Has he coached anyone through a marathon before? Who were you sort of looking to lead things a bit or to be led? How did that?
It was definitely a collaborative journey, and I would always say one of Adam's strengths is that he acknowledges that he doesn't know all the answers. He has a lot of them, of course, but throughout the last 4 years, it's been about learning from different swim and bike experts to then bring that back into the context of triathlon and apply that to what we're doing. So working with some of the guys from British Cycling, working from some of the guys from British Women to learn from them, apply that, and then bring it back. And that's been the same within the running space as well. Is we have a lot of the answers. Well, we don't actually. We had a few of the answers for
still
for the
compiling
marathon.
Some of the others.
Exactly, and we're still compiling it. But to make sense of all the lab data and stuff like that from different people and knowing when to lean on different people and knowing when we need to keep it internal, because that doesn't work within the context of triathlon and that kind of triathlon DNA training. It's been exciting, and I guess we've both embarked on this journey together, knowing that there's a chance we win together, a chance we lose together in this journey, and I think that's great that we have that trust in each other and understanding. And yes, I feel like he's grown as much as I have throughout this journey as well.
And as well as Hugo, some other sort of very specific people along the way doing sessions and so on, like the team, even down to, I saw, was it in one of the details, where they were sort of taping up the bottles, give a bit of grip to that kind of thing. Did that side of it, did the like nutrition, hydration, all of that click as you wanted it to?
I think that's one of the strengths of coming from the triathlon background, is that we are very thorough with our racing, down to, you look at people's bike setups, there's so many minute things taped up here and there, different gear ratios, people running very specific setups, which I think then I could translate very easily to, my water bottles being easy to view and to collect, and
gather the small wins, and then
exactly, so those little things actually applied very well from triathlon. And also the amount of nutrition that we take on the bike in general during training meant that my stomach was fairly well conditioned for taking on the fuel in for running, and that actually became a bit of a strength for me, rather than something which I think a lot of people struggle with in their first marathon. So that was great as well, and there were a lot of strong things like that allowed me to kind of get the grasp of marathon a little bit better, because of, thanks to triathlon and those minute things.
So a whole new respect, presumably. Does the mountain of a negative split of that time just now seem kind of pretty crazy, or just another carrot dangling in front?
It's definitely a carrot. I think for us, you're always wanting to be better and to have that opportunity to improve and do that again. But I definitely think there's probably a slight naivety to my racing, probably in that first 20 to 25k of believing that that this maybe could happen. But I think that's the beauty of the marathon, is you never know what the marathon god's going to give you on that day. And I feel like I was given a pretty good day, irrespective of missing that time goal. I still feel like I was able to push myself quite hard, go through that 25k very controlled. I was very lucky to have Hugo until 30k of the race, so to have somebody up until that point was really helpful, and just helped with your mental side of things as well. So yeah, it was.
I mean, Jesus, there must be plenty of very experienced marathon runners out there that have had significantly troublesome debuts and things like that.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. Like, looking on that start line, the sort of people you were rubbing shoulders with.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like marathon is one of those things that you have to kind of do to understand it a little bit as well. I definitely didn't understand it the way I understand it now after doing it. So I think that will allow me, hopefully in the future, if I'm able to do one again, to be a better person for it because of that understanding.
Could you put that into a succinct little something, do you think? Is there a golden nugget of what that understanding is?
The marathon is it's similar to triathlon, of marrying up hundreds of different factors into one outcome and one performance. And I feel like I have maybe 90% of the triathlon ones, the triathlon processes, but to be able to go into the marathon with, I didn't know how many of these processes I had, but now I come out of it and I feel like I have an idea. I have, 40% of them or something. So now I feel like I can add different bits to this big spider's web if I was to do another one, and then that would allow me to then have a little bit more of an idea at the start line of, okay, I have this many of this preparation, and then that allows me to then probably understand my body a bit more and understand where I'm at a little bit more than I probably did throughout this block. So yeah, if that makes sense in a funny way.
Yeah. I mean, that 40%, so there's some good building to be done still. I'm sure there's,
we'll see,
pretty worried about that. How, as far as, the physiological changes and things like, the rehab between sessions and so on, how's Liv been, how would she see it from her side, your girlfriend?
It's been...
If you slept the good sleep, or like how... just things like that, right? You're hitting numbers and volume that you've not done, so there must be other knock-on consequences.
It's funny because I've done probably 6-7 hours less training a week in terms of volume than I would normally do. I was probably sitting around 25-26 hours of volume, whereas I'd sit maybe closer to 33-34 in the triathlon block. So it's less time, but at the same time, because the training's gone from being a polarized training block where so much of it's easy and actually kind of active recovery, and then you have that kind of 5-6 hours of super intense training, to then everything being a bit more steady state. I feel like I'm a little bit more fatigued kind of generally throughout the week. So there definitely are points where I'm sitting on the sofa and Liz probably get a little bit annoyed at me that I haven't done something, or need to go and walk the dog, or
just
do
no
little bits like that.
To shift
but I mean, it's definitely been good learning, and there's definitely a part of me which appreciates triathlon training because I'm able to integrate with Liv and so many other training guys, and that's potentially one thing I've struggled with being in my training group, is that it's definitely been a lot more solo, my training. I've definitely felt more like a lone athlete because of the runs I'm going on for slightly steadier runs, maybe a slightly quicker pace than I would normally run. But that's all been part of the learning, and learning about myself as much as I'm learning about kind of my physiology and that kind of thing. So yeah, it's just been interesting.
Yeah, a lot of fun as a 27-year-old at the top of a sport. Break yourself down, rebuild into something else. I mean, that was the point of it, right? That was the whole. So, give us the big takeaway. How fun was it? How pleased are you that you did it? I mean,
I'm really pleased I did it. I think for me to go back to almost what feels like square one again, and to learn throughout a process, and to step into a new space, I think allows me to take all this learning I've made from marathon and be able to bring that into triathlon, and hopefully that can maybe set a precedent for somebody to go and do something else within maybe cycling, and then bring it back into triathlon, and all these little bits of knowledge which are going to come out of different people and different avenues, and can all be brought back into triathlon to create the best practices to allow us to learn from different sports. I think allows our sport to evolve and reflect itself in the best way, and hopefully people will appreciate how bloody hard we work and the level that we're performing at as well.
These are the things that kick on a sport from a numbers and a performance perspective and audience perspective, right? So you've done another amazing job of putting triathlon in the shop window through a very different lens. It's brilliant to say.
No, thanks, and in probably the most fun way for me as well. So it's been pretty cool, and I'm happy that people still care about what you're doing, even though it's not triathlon as well. So it's quite nice that people are still excited by what I'm doing.
Is there a thing a specific that you think will be able to be brought in for the LA side? What would you take out of this that you're kind of like, okay, this is I've got another little bulletproof, a little trick in the bag for triathlon now?
I think one of the big things that I learned is that my body can probably handle a little bit more than I thought, particularly within run volumes, stuff like that. So starting to push the envelope within some of my running. It's been really interesting to see some of my lab data and to see some results which we probably didn't think would happen as quickly as they did within certain things. They'll also happen extremely slowly with other things. But to see that kind of some quick changes within some parts of my physiology maybe show that there was a little bit of a limitation there before, which is really interesting, but also shows that with a little bit of training towards that stimulus that there could be some exciting changes, which is really exciting. So I think that's probably the big one. And then just learning from people and learning different training principles, learning from different athletes, different perspectives, I think has definitely allowed me to kind of come back into my sport with kind of fresh eyes a little bit, and be able to leave a few more stones unturned, looking towards the future.
Kicking down some doors all over again there.
Yeah, we'll see.
And even, I suppose, like the detour, it was a lovely like insight into the story, but another just nice way for you to engage with a different audience, right? It's not the same as an Instagram audience or a Twitter audience or whatever, and there's just the comments and all of that feeding in. It's just, I should imagine that was a gratifying project to go through as well.
Definitely, I think.
And the joy of having that all documented, your first London Marathon.
Exactly, that's another thing for me, is I'm very fortunate I'm able to look back on that now, and that journey's all there on paper, and that for me will be great to look back on now with an outcome there. But also, I feel like as triathletes, it's very hard to express yourself and express personality, and for people to understand us in a way. So for me to be able to do that and show that I'm just a normal person, I do work hard, but everything else about me is pretty incredibly normal and not special at all. So if people see that and understand that, then hopefully young people can look at me, can look at Hayden, can look at Beth, Liv, whoever it may be, and think, well, why can't I be like them? Why can't I be the next Hayden Wild? Why can't I be the next Cassandra Beaugrand? And ask those questions about yourself and believe in yourself, and hopefully through the YouTube people can see that kind of human lens of us, rather than just, I guess, I definitely thought when I watched triathlon when I was growing up, these guys are superhuman, I'll never reach this level, but you honestly can if you believe in it, you work hard at it. So yeah.
And I suppose that was a big takeaway from a lot of the comments that were just on bloody every platform going afterwards and in the build-up, was like the humbleness, the down-to-earthness, the lack of ego, which I feel is a bit of a triathlon thing anyway, for good and bad in some ways. Like in these polarized times, it's almost as if like this is a sort of, it felt like this big refreshing outpouring of people going, this is just like a genuine guy, like documenting his time and having this beautiful moment, not trying to dress it up, not trying to shout about what number he's going to get, and that sort of like the philosophy I'm going to now call it.
I like that. Yeah. I feel like, I hope people can relate to me because of my internal desire to be better and be the best person I can be, because that is universal, no matter what you're doing, no matter what profession, no matter what level of sport you're competing at. We can all push ourselves to be the best people we can be, and strive to do that, and that's definitely my outlook from my training and what I do, and hopefully that's relatable to people, and people can say, well, if that's working for you, then hopefully if I focus inwards, don't look at what's around me, then hopefully that can lead the best to me as well.
Because there is also a bit of a paradox there with being an Olympic and a world champion and everything that comes into, and like having to beat these incredible people alongside you, and not, and having the lack of ego. It's a weird combo, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, but I mean, it is part of the triathlon culture. We are part of this incredible multi-sport culture. You see it within decathlon, heptathlon, where we understand how hard each other work, and we race. We line up as racers, wanting to race each other, but at the same time, we appreciate how hard it has been to get to that start line. Appreciate the hard work. There's no easy way to get there. So
no one's ever stood on the start line as the best swimmer, the best biker, and the best runner.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's it's an exciting place to line up, and also a safe place to line up as well, because everyone has that respect for each other. And yeah, I still feel like that internal approach allows you to have that kind of outlook on everyone else, because yeah, I feel like trying to beat people has a means to an end, whereas, you know, if you're working on yourself and working on what you can do, then I feel like that is a kind of limitless outlook on yourself.
And I suppose a part of that, you could say, is encapsulated by the shot of you and Hayden on the finish line under the Paris gantry. And if you think about everything that he was going through, and to just sort of sit alongside you and put his arm around you, that almost sums up perfectly like what you're talking about there.
Yeah, definitely. He's an incredible sport in that moment, and it was quite nice to share that moment, because the thing we talked about was that it was nice that it was actually us two in the race after all the conversations that we'd had, you know, all the build up about it potentially being between us two. We had the same in Pontevedra the year before for the World Championships, and it definitely didn't materialise that way, and it hasn't for a good few years actually. So it was
like
nice.
at least it was us two.
It was nice that we could share that moment racing together on that stage, and it was nice to kind of sit there. And I mean, we were both absolutely cooked. I think at that point we'd spent everything we had in our body, but it was nice to share that moment where we were able to acknowledge how far we pushed each other, and at that moment, and made for quite a nice picture as well, that kind of Renaissance picture. So yeah, it was good times.
Hell of a picture. And then you sort of took yourself to the side there and like toweled up and went into a little realm. I wonder how long you would have stayed there if Kenji hadn't sort of encouraged you up, because there was a good sit and a good thought. And I wonder what was the thinking? Is it? Can you remember?
I think it's just that it was an attempt to process what was kind of going on.
And what was about to.
Within racing, you just I feel like things slow down and happen so slowly, but then also so fast at the same time, that you can kind of live it, but it can almost pass you by. So I was just trying to have that kind of moment to myself, you know, in this big world of noise which is happening around you. Just have that small moment of peace where you can kind of just try to start to process everything, so you can appreciate things, and just try and live that moment as best you can, because it is something you've thought about and dreamed about for such a long time. And to be honest, I probably didn't do a very good job of trying to live it as best I could, because it's such a whirlwind when it happens, and I'd love to go back and live that moment, you know, 100 times over. But yeah, still to have that kind of small moment to myself it's still pretty surreal. Yeah.
So, I mean, coming into, like you said, Hayden saying, you know, this time it was us as we had wanted it to be. I guess going into 2024 and the Olympic year, how were you on the self-confidence doubt spectrum, given that, you know, 21 hadn't quite happened, 22, 23 in slightly more spectacular fashion, but to go in as a favourite again, were you having specific help for that, or were you able to kind of shut that out in a way as well?
Well, I feel like the 2023 Pontevedra not going to plan was the worst thing in the moment at the time, but actually probably one of the best things that happened to me. It took a little bit of heat off. Of course, it was won by Dorian in incredible fashion, but also as a French athlete, and then the French attention then goes to a bit more French attention for him and Leo and Pierre as well, to be honest. So yeah, it probably took a little bit of attention off me. It also gave me that reminder that I still have a lot of vulnerabilities within my sport, and it really allowed me to take that step back and look at my swimming, refocus on it, and then try and deliver as many good swims as I could going into that year. Probably one of the things I struggled with at the start of that year was Abu Dhabi not happening. It definitely was a point where I was wanting to kind of get that snapshot of where I was at and how things were going, and to not have that, I definitely struggled with at the start of the year. But I think in terms of building into Paris and everything like that, there was such a focus on just trying trying to be better, so that I could stand on that start line and be in the race, be competitive, just be my best self. That I didn't really think about the noise that was kind of going on around me, and I think Team GB and British Triathlon did a pretty good job of kind of keeping that noise as low as possible in the prep camp and keeping that as normal as it ever has been. And yeah, it definitely was a challenge going into my first few events when there's noise around you, and feeling a little bit chaotic, a little bit out of control. But I've often found that the more I can control within racing, within a race environment, even within a pre-race environment with training and stuff, the better you're gonna feel, the more excited you're gonna stand on that start line, and the best you're gonna race.
Yeah. And then a few more uncontrollables are thrown in from race delays and heat creeping up and all of that kind of stuff. Because
even the rain in the morning as well. Because I guess we started and you didn't know whether we were going to line up and have wet roads, or you kind of just went out and you kind of dealt with
when
it
you
on
came
the
out
fly,
of the water, see what
which
happens.
was a bit mad. But yeah, and then all of a sudden the sun came out, so it was definitely about kind of acknowledging the situation on the fly and trying to make those intelligent race decisions. But gosh, waking up on the morning when the race was postponed for a day was one of the most bizarre feelings I've ever felt in my life, of going back to bed on your Olympic race day and thinking, am I gonna miss this, or is this a dream, or is this real? But yeah, and then to go again,
absolutely hideous thing to go through as an athlete.
Yeah, it was so bizarre, but to then view it as something which was out of your control, and the one thing we could control was how we prepared for the next day, and if the same thing happened again the next day and the next day. So to view it like that and to quickly refocus, I think became a strength in the end, and actually allowed us to stand on that start line, as confident hopefully as we would have been the day before.
Because with that and the crazy swim currents and all of that going on, it was potentially one of those races that would have blown right. It could have been a complete outsider that won that just by virtue of it. So to have gone in as the favourites and still been 1-2 was like,
it was cool. There's often factors which are, at play within a triathlon. It's not always swim, bike and run. So it's about acknowledging those factors as much as possible, and I feel like I did a good job of acknowledging that. I feel like I...
Friend or foe?
I don't know. Joseph.
Friend.
Sorry.
Who's Joseph?
My brother.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ah. Nice.
He's the mad one. He rode 325k down here about a week ago. From Leeds to London.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Is he trying to take a bit of your shine on the free
he's the ultra guy and I'm the fast guy. That's what I like to think.
Yeah.
I'm not getting that far. I'm getting a lot slower doing marathon now. Sorry, what was I saying before? It was about to have those kind of unique things within each triathlon course, particularly with Olympics, having the heat and humidity with Tokyo. Obviously there was the hill in Rio, and then the current in Paris. To have those little bits which you can kind of really refocus into and try and get right as best as possible, allow you to, I guess, make a bit of a difference in not just swim, bike and run physiology. So yeah.
Did you get a bit overexcited on that first run lap? You were gassing it, like absolutely flying, and then suddenly Hayden was still able to pull alongside. It was, there were a lot of unusual parts to that race, and that was one of the times he just sort of sauntering up alongside you.
Yeah, definitely. It was part and parcel to me having quite a good transition actually. So I knew that I kind of was quite close to the front straight away. Yeah. And as a result, I wanted to put a bit of pressure on the race. Yeah. Probably put a little bit too pressure on for even myself. So yeah, coming into that second lap, I definitely was feeling a little bit worse for wear. Maybe I'd slightly overcooked myself in that heat, and it kind of took me that next 5k to make those wise decisions in that moment to kind of race the conditions and race what I felt like I had within me. And yeah, that obviously meant letting Hayden go. But I just carried on trying to race the best 10k I had within me, knowing that last k I would still have hopefully a little bit of a kick to go, and just making that decision at the right place to pick a point and just go hell for leather and see what could happen.
Had no part of you resigned to second, really? Like
not really, if I'm being honest. I think until you've crossed the finish line, you always want to believe there's a chance. We do an incredibly hard sport.
That's what you're there for. That's what
exactly
it's gone into. Like, yeah.
I would have been proud if I finished that race and I'd have come 10th and given 100%, just as much as I am proud of the race now. It's the fact that we do such a grueling and hard sport that anything can happen, anything can change, and I need to just keep giving 100% to this, because I owe it to myself, I owe it to all the people that have worked hard around me, and all the people who've helped me through my development as well. So that was the key thing, was just keep on going, and not giving up, and stick to your plan as well, which is, can be pretty hard to do in a pretty crazy time like that.
Sounds like you might have added on a couple of extra % for the next one and as well after the last couple of months. Geez.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll definitely see. It's interesting.
And there you've been in like two of the most unbelievable race atmospheres within.
It feels
10
like
months
it.
of
Yeah,
each other. Like,
I've been, extremely lucky to have experienced both of those atmospheres. Paris was particularly crazy, obviously, because the intensity of it is over such a small 2.5k throughout the run course, whereas London's obviously 26.2 miles, but just lined with crowds. Both were, and I think it was it will be something which I'll never forget. So hopefully I get to experience something like that again.
Well, congrats. Hope Crystal Palace make it.
The
dream 12 months in a couple of weeks' time.
That would be amazing.
Presume you've got your... that's what a good manager's for, right? He's got you off some tickets straight in. This is where it...
No, luckily, I've got some tickets, so very excited. Fingers crossed.
Right on. Yeah. Well, and again, thanks for the time. I hope... So the legs are still...
Legs are still definitely recovering. Yeah, just trying to get back to hopefully doing some running in the next 48 hours. But there's a little bit of swimming today. I'm not sure you can call it swimming yet, but I'll be back training next week hopefully.
And I guess the conversations are now to follow. Are they blue carpet, more marathon? How the year pans out is all
it's all definitely up in the air. The main goal of this year is to get better and improve and to learn, all to apply and into the next 3 years that are coming up. I've got like a kind of hard point, which is the start of one of our training camps in Australia in 2026, to be like, this is all in towards the next 3 years, and that allows me to have a little bit more exploration within triathlon and running over this next period. But I'll sit down in the next week and have a plan and work towards whatever that may be.
Well, we can't wait. It's going to be very exciting. There's going to be a whole new millions of eyes on that return as well. So
I appreciate
thanks
that.
again.
Thank you.
And congrats.
No, thanks for having me.
Brilliant. Cheers, mate.
Cool. Class.